Hello, this is Dario Marjali, and I'm going to review a course I've recently signed up for on Udemy. It's called Business Analyst, Software Testing Processes and Techniques. It's by Jeremy Aschenbrenner. Chapter 2 of this course is about software testing. This is because the world of business analysts and product owners also has to address testing. Um, Testing covers two different areas. One is verification, which is to verify if there are any bugs, to check for bugs, to make sure that the functional requirements are being met according to specifications and things are working correctly. And then the second area that it covers is validation, which means that you want to validate that the product is usable and that it covers the purpose for which it was built, so that it answers the business requirement. The course then goes on to talk about the different phases of software testing. And to help you remember these phases, it talks about the V model, which are the phases of the project. A project usually starts with a business requirement. This is very high level, let's say a user story. An example of business requirement would be something high level, for example, a system to track employees working from home, right? Going down the letter V in the V model, we get to the functional requirements. And the functional requirements are specific tasks that are needed, or we would call them use cases. One example of functional requirement would be, for example, making sure that the employee completes at least 40 hours a week, and that the system requires that from them, 40 hours. Then at the bottom of the V, we have the development phase of the project management. And that's when people, the software developers are developing, but that's also when testing starts. Its first phase of testing is there, which is unit testing, which means it's the testing that the developer himself or herself does when he or she has completed a piece of the code and just wants, and something renders on their screen, and they just make sure that the button they coded is there. Or then we're going to go up the V, and the next phase, which would be the fifth one, would be integration testing. And this is the most important phase probably for testing, because here you are testing the different components and making sure that they are working correctly together. So for example, a developer created one window, and then from this window it's going to go to another window created by another developer, and you want to make sure that, for example, the username, this information about the username is delivered correctly to the second window, or that value that is needed in the second window does reach the second window, and when you open the second window you're not going to have an error, or nothing's going to be missing that needs to have been delivered from the first window. So that is a part of the testing that is done by a QA team. So integration testing would be the second phase for testing, and it would be the fifth stage in the project management or V model. And then the sixth stage, which would be the third stage of testing, would be system testing. In this stage, particularly the product owner or business analyst, they want to make sure that all the test cases are passing, and it's the last chance to test the system before giving it to the customer. So you want to make sure that all the functional requirements are covered here and are tested. The fourth phase of testing is UAT, or user acceptance testing. And at this point, you have delivered the product to the customer, and it's the customer doing the testing. So they're testing a production version of it. System testing is equivalent, or is at the same level in the V model as the business requirements. Why? Because you want to make sure that the business need of the product is being met. The work of the business analyst here is creating scenarios and to analyze the results, see what happened when the customer tested it. And of course, if manage any defects that show up when the customer is doing the testing. Finally, there is a fifth stage in testing, which is called regression testing, which can be tedious, and it consists of looking back at the system after this has been completed to see if anything got broken while you were implementing this new feature and testing it and fixing it. So it's looking back. So that would be the fifth and last stage of testing.